Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we're making some updates. I want to show you some interesting stuff that I'm doing or some interesting stuff that my orchids are doing, and also show you the most beautiful orchid that I have in bloom at the moment. We didn't talk too much about it, although I did show it to you in a few previous videos. We're going to focus a little bit more on it today, but also I'm going to show you a few other things around the plant room that maybe we didn't talk about in a long time. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you do, don't forget to give it a like. Although honestly, I don't know if it makes any more difference because YouTube is removing the dislike button, and I have thoughts about that. I'm probably gonna tell you about it today as well. But anyway, leave a like or a dislike however you feel about this video, and why not subscribe? I post very often. So let us actually start with this beautiful creature. Alrighty, so this beautiful orchid is a Rhyncholaleo Cattleya Amazing Thailand. I'm just gonna call it Cattleya for short. And it is a pretty tall Cattleya, as you can see. I have it for about 2 years now, if I'm not mistaken, so I have grown it patiently. In the past, I did have some blank sheaths. These are sheaths that don't end up producing any buds at all, and there are at least 2 years of blank sheaths, I see. Now, blank sheaths happen either due to the age of the orchid. If the orchid is pretty young, it will start to create those sheaths, but it will not produce the actual buds inside them. So that might be a reason, which I do believe was the case with this one. She was much tinier when I received it. Also, it could have to do with the environment, which is a more worrying reason because you're not entirely sure what it is in your environment that she doesn't like. Many times with Cattleyas, it's about light. The more light you give a Cattleya, the more you increase your chances of that Cattleya to bloom, but it can also have to do with temperature. If the environment is not warm enough, since these guys are hot growers, then they might not bloom. Obviously not the case here, is mostly warm. It could also be that there is no night and day difference in temperature. Reasons can definitely vary, but most likely it is either a age situation or a light situation. So all you have to do is just be a little bit careful. I know that with some orchids, it's really nerve-wracking to wait around for them and watch all of these super big leaves taking up space in your room without any type of flowers. Yeah, I know, it can be frustrating, but sometimes it absolutely pays off. I would just go ahead and give your Cattleya as much light as possible without burning it. When you see the leaves get hot, it is time to move it a bit away from the window. And whatever you do, do not keep that light on if you're using artificial light all the time. They do need a nighttime. Their respiration is regulated by light, and if the orchid does not receive a proper dark period, the breathing will be impaired, and overall the health of your orchid will be impaired in the long run as well. At the beginning, you will not notice probably much of an impact, but in the long run, it will affect it in ways that maybe we don't necessarily understand. Anyway, enough about cats not blooming. This beautiful orchid is a pinwheel pattern type of a Cattleya, which I absolutely adore. I have, I think, 2 more. One never bloomed. I'm patiently waiting for it. And one has buds right now. It bloomed before. I think it's my favorite pattern. It is so rare, and I know I'm very careful with the word rare on this channel, but it is really rare to have this pattern on Cattleyas. Does not mean that the orchid itself is rare or anything. It's a man-made hybrid. From time to time it will appear in nurseries, but the pattern itself is not very common. It is a product of hybridization, and I love it. I have the pinwheel effect both on the front and also on the back. On the back, it is present on the petals as well. It is absolutely fantastic, and it has the colors of the sunset, which I absolutely adore. It is also fragrant. It smells citrusy, pretty powerful, very typical of Cattleyas. Just noticing now, we're kind of blending together because my blouse is orange. I do like the color a lot, but I don't think it makes for a good background for this orchid. So yeah, absolutely worth the wait. If you happen to find this orchid at a reasonable price, go ahead and get it. I don't think you'll regret it if you get it to bloom. If, however, it just so happens that prices inflate because, I don't know, because YouTube videos or whatever, just don't purchase this orchid. I'm gonna show you not 1,000, maybe 100 more Cattleyas that are worth it. So just don't go ahead and spend your savings or too much money than you're comfortable on this particular orchid. Don't worry, I have Cattleyas or other orchids to show you that will blow your mind as well. She's not the only one. But I'm just saying, if the price is okay, it's decent, it's good with you, then absolutely get it. I think it's wonderful. I love it so much at the moment. But yeah, don't worry. We have a lot more beautiful orchids to talk about and to choose from. Don't really focus and I guess obsess about one in particular. There are so many of them, and don't overpay for these plants. They're just plants. Alrighty, so that said, I think we can move on to other types of orchids. Alright, so you might hear in the background the AC. Well, it's going on heat. Finally, it cooled down in my area. It was 15 or 14 degrees Celsius this morning in the plant room, and that's too low. So I turned on the AC, but the good news with the cool down in the nighttime is that the Phalaenopsis will start to spike. Now, a month and a half ago, or maybe 2 months ago, in September in any case, I told you that we had an unexpected chill a few nights, and that's determined a few of my Phalaenopsis to spike. Good morning. Beautiful little concert. Right, so these are the orchids. This is, oh my goodness. Maya's always forgetting the lyrics. So this is one of them. This is the flower spike. It's almost about to bloom, but it's the only one that got so affected. The temperatures didn't go very, very low. It was 20 degrees Celsius at night, which for September in this area is unheard of. Well, maybe not. In the past 5 years that I've lived in this country, I never experienced 20 degrees Celsius in September. It's a little low for Cyprus. But here's an update. That's the flower spike that I showed you in that video. And this is the other flower spike that I showed you, which is not a flower spike. One of them decided to put on a keiki. I don't know why, but she did. Many of my other mini phals are starting to spike because it did get quite cool recently. So we are going to have some pretty low flowers soon. I'm considering changing the shelf for them. I'm considering making them a special place because it is absolutely amazing to have Phalaenopsis in bloom all at the same time, cascading their blooms. I'm thinking, I have a display in mind, I just don't know where to put it. It's a little tricky with the artificial light situation, but I'm working on it. Now, a few not so pleasant things with some Phalaenopsis. I had quite the thrip infestation on them. You can see here, this is proper thrip damage. I think the damage is in the axis a little bit as well, but I'm hoping that she will recover. This one really doesn't look so good. Also, look, oh no. Oh, I thought she collapsed, but no, it's just this little razor that fell. Okay, so look at this. This is the Oncidium fleck virus. Now, typically it is carried by spider mites, but in the lack of spider mites, there we go, thrips can carry it as well. Now, don't worry, my orchids do not have thrips anymore. They were the first ones that got treated, that got sprayed, and got back into the plant room. I did use my leaf shine thing on them. It works very well on them, actually. The leaf shine is not present anymore. This is a new leaf. There's no leaf shine on it. After a while, because it's paraffin oil, it does evaporate. It doesn't linger on. It just stays on long enough for the thrips to be on. But yeah, I really, really like the easy application. Oh, another flower spike. I just noticed it. Look at it. This one, we're gonna make a video really, really soon on this one about orchids with long necks. There we go. Maybe it's gonna be orchid care for beginners, maybe one of the episodes. But yeah, we're gonna talk about long neck phals again, because some of these orchids are pretty old and they do have long necks. So yeah, there are a few phals that don't look so good, but only a few of them because of the thrips. Most of them are doing really, really great. Cannot wait to see them in bloom. Now, in the tour that I recently posted on Wednesday, and by the way, that video was filmed last week, this flower spike was not showing. I looked at the footage and I don't think I saw it. So in 1 week, this flower spike emerged from the leaves. And this is my Rhincoredes Bangkok Sunset. I think it's the Perreiraara now. It has been reclassified. I'm trying to learn the new names. Some of them are just a little bit harder for me to pronounce, so I go to my default, the name that I have been acquainted with for the past 8 years or whatever. But yeah, this is the Bangkok sunset, and it's one of my favorites. It's a small vanda, so it absolutely fits in the shelves. And I moved it here at her last flower spike. It looked so great under these lights. And that was, when? 5 months ago, 6 months ago, something of the sorts. Ever since then, I did not move it from here. I let it grow under the grow lights, the Perreiraara lights. And I was saying in my tour video that I'm curious if vandas can actually rebloom under these lights. They can absolutely grow vegetatively, but is it enough light to make them rebloom? And guess what? It is, at least for this one. The other one down there, which Wrinkle Stylus gigantea, one of the varieties, maybe the carrot one? Yeah, so that one does not have a flower spike yet, but this one does. I can also see quite a bit of anthocyanin happening here as she's going closer to the light. So maybe it's a little too much light. There is a fix for that. At least in my case, you can see that I placed the lights zigzaggy, kinda, in lack of a better word. My English sometimes doesn't work. Well, there are areas which are not so powerfully illuminated, like here. They are illuminated nicely here down because the light disperses a little, but up there, you know, it's a little bit more shaded, you see? So I'm thinking that I can definitely move this orchid as she's approaching the grow light. I can move it in that corner so she's not so bombarded with a whole lot of light. In reality, I don't know how it comes off on camera, but in reality, it's not dramatic. It's just redder. I can definitely see that it's redder than the other leaves, which is absolutely normal. It is a normal response of this particular orchid to light. It does not mean anything, and it certainly does not mean it will burn. It is actually very cold. Burnas don't give off a lot. They almost don't give off anything. Unless you touch them, they're not really all that warm. But anyway, I'll move it. Good news though, we have a flower spike. I managed to rebloom this particular Vendacious orchid under grow lights. And they're not even the most powerful grow lights. They're suited for the height of this shelf. I'm gonna stick on this subject again because I do remember a comment saying, why would you invest in these lights which are 10 watts when you can buy directly the super strong light or grow light that you see on the market? Well, I made an analogy that amuses me. Yeah, I laugh at my own jokes. Putting an orchid under that very strong light in this shelf, which is 40 centimeters tall, it's like putting somebody on Mercury. The blazing light will obliterate them. It is too strong. So for shelves that are not too tall, do not go for very strong lights. It is just too close to the light. If you have taller shelves, if this wouldn't exist, then it would be a totally different story. And yeah, that would make sense. But if the shelf is pretty short, yeah, just be careful with that because the stronger the light, the more heat it will emit as well. The more likely it is to actually burn leaves if they get too close. They don't need to touch it. They can get this close and they might still burn if it is very, very strong. If the LEDs are the very strong type, which maybe I will talk about in a different video. Anyway, enough about this topic. Vanda blooms, yay! And not only does Vanda bloom, but also Cattleya bloom. Don't mind the fact that we only have 2 little buds here. She was a little set back by the thrips. She was one of those orchids that was actually affected by the thrips. I had to completely spray it, completely repot it, and yeah, she didn't have a great time. I didn't repot it at the time I wanted to, the optimal time. I just repotted it. But she's still producing buds, so definitely these lights are enough for maybe not all Cattleyas, I don't know, but the Cattleyas that I tried them with, definitely they're enough. Visually, again, I feel like they're enough. And you might be able to see that here I have all sorts of different orchids under the same lights. I have Cattleyas with Phalaenopsis, which definitely have different light requirements, with the Oncidium, with some Tolumnias, all sorts of different plants with different light requirements. Why is that actually working out? Oh, Bulbophyllums here. Look at that. They're all under the same lights and on the same shelves. Well, it does actually work because the light itself is not incredibly strong, but the fact that the Cattleyas are taller instantly gives them an advantage over the other lower orchids, let's say, because they're just closer to the light. That's one thing. Second, just because an orchid prefers lower light doesn't mean it will not do great at all under, let's say, a little bit stronger light. And again, these lights are not super strong. They are not strong enough to completely, let's say, discolor leaves, to dissipate a little bit that chlorophyll pigment. It's just not strong enough to do that. So yes, even Phalaenopsis can work on these lights. Usually they're lower than the Cattleyas, and that makes a big difference. Even 1 centimeter actually makes a difference, because these lights lose power super fast as the waves travel. So right here, maximum intensity. But here, which is like 20 centimeters lower, it's like medium, intermediate light, to be fully honest. So that's how I kind of manage it. And I do think it's gonna be suitable for all of these orchids which have different light requirements. But you know, I'm still in testing. I have been using these lights for a little over a year now, but I have been using them in my Millspo cabinet. It is the first time I'm using them with so many different orchids, so I'm still testing. Visually, I think it's enough. Visually, I don't think I'm gonna have any issues, but we'll see about that. It's been a few months since I installed these shelves, so I will definitely keep you up to date, but this is a long-term, let's say, experiment. It's not an experiment, it's a test. So far so good though. If you have been using the setup, which I know some of you did, and I know some of you do really like it, I'm really happy. If any of you got inspired to try these lights and, I don't know, the setup, let me know in a comment. What do you think about it? Are you happy with it? Are the orchids happy? I want to know feedback. I want to know your experience, so I have a well-rounded opinion, let's say, on the lights. I'm personally really happy, but definitely grow lights are not natural lights, so I don't know if they can fully replace sunlight, but I'm definitely testing it. Okay, one more experiment that I'm working on is this one with the beautiful moss. Let me just, oh no, my hand is not big enough to grab it, hold on. All right, so this is the beautiful moss that I got at that flower shop last year. This moss does not survive in anything lower than 100% humidity environment. Yeah, so this moss I can only keep in enclosures of the sorts. It didn't even live in the biorb due to that little fan that was continuously running. So what I do is I just keep it in water, in a pool of water, not even with medium. It does not have any roots. It's a moss. And I was thinking, what if I can use the actual moss as a medium for orchids? And I have some experiments, one of which I'm sure it will work, the other I'm not sure. So the one that I'm pretty sure will work is with this cutting of a jewel orchid. So you can see here. I'm sure this one will work because this is a high moisture plant. It is a terrestrial, doesn't need all that much air, so I'm not worried with this one. However, with this one, I don't know. Now, this is a Sophronides or former Sophronides orchid. I had some issues with my Sophronides this summer. It was a little bit too hot for them. I feel like they would have preferred things a little bit more humid, a little bit cooler. I don't know. So I'm trying this setup out in which the plant is just sitting on the moss, as you can see. And the roots, again, are just sitting on the moss. And because the moss is wet, it actually wicks up that water, but offers a lot of air. I'm thinking, what if this can work? The only concern is the fact that I need to cover it, the fact that it needs the glass dome. I don't know how that will work out in the long run. From time to time, I remove that bell, but it's not ventilated, which in my environment turned out to be okay. I also have no algae or no mold because, again, this moss is alive, it does not support algae or mold, and the orchid is sitting on top of the moss, so it does not put its roots necessarily in water. It might go there, but no, it is just sitting on top. So the roots are wet because of the moss. This is a very interesting experiment that I'm working on. There are a few orchids which I think would work in something like this, orchids that really do like that high moisture. By the way, this is a glass cloche from IKEA. They brought in these nice black bottom ones. They also have some wood bottom ones, but those ones tend to kind of swell a little bit due to the humidity. This is metal, so I think I prefer these ones. They're also black. They work with the Visto shelves. Yeah, so I do have a few of these cloches and I'm trying some stuff out. I will make a video about it if it actually works out, if it's something viable. If it's not, I don't know. I would like to, but at the same time, I don't want to give you bad ideas. I'm kind of giving you a bad idea now. Don't do this. This is just an experiment that I'm doing. And also I have another Cattleya experiment in this glass orb, which is suspended by the Vista shelves with a magnetic hook. It is a very strong magnet. Ooh. There we go. I got this from Amazon. In a previous video I talk about it, and the actual glass orb is from a flower shop. So what I did was I placed bark with a little bit of cocoa peat here on the bottom just to retain and disperse that humidity equally and also not be prone to algae. And again, I kinda potted a Cattleya type orchid here. So most of the roots are kind of in the air, but at the same time they do receive moisture from that medium. It's like having a mounted orchid, but not really mounted, just kind of hanging. It is very, very airy, and it does retain less water than a pot. It is much more ventilated than a pot. It's just a layer of medium, practically, something for those roots to hang on to and get some moisture from. But that's about it. It's a very shallow layer. And the way I water it is by placing some water in a wash bottle and then going close and just pouring a little bit of water here and there. I'm not gonna fully water it because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm watching the viewfinder and I will mess something up, I'm sure. But yeah, this is another experiment that I find really, really cute. I think orchids of the sorts which grow upwards, miniatures, obviously, are much better for this setup. Rather than something like this. This is an Aerangis that I just purchased. This one just grows leaning forward, and I don't want these leaves to lean on the medium, even though the medium is not wet. On top, it is mostly bark. The humidity and moisture are below. It's kind of like a mini terrarium, if you will. But the growth pattern of these orchids is not very elegant for this setup, or I don't know. It doesn't work so well. I tried. I don't like this. I'm gonna remove it. I'm gonna put another miniature, either Cattleya or something that doesn't grow very tall, something that doesn't lean over. And lastly, the jewel orchids. Look how pretty they are. I decided to go for a self-watering pot that, again, I got from Amazon. And the medium that I used is a combination of cocoa peat and bark chips, and so far so good. I made sure to place slow release fertilizer, and I am using fertilized water as well with them because guess what, you guys? These guys like fertilizer. Wow. I didn't think they would be heavy feeders. I don't know if they're heavy feeders, but they're definitely moderate feeders. Look at that discoloration. This happened in the biorb when the biorb was retaining so much water in that reservoir that if you missed fertilizer day, you're done. If the medium did not have fertilizer, then everybody would suffer. And I couldn't re-water because there was already water in the reservoir, so I would fill it all the way up and more, which is something I didn't wanna. So that's why we have some discolorations there, but they're getting much, much improved. So with these guys, I would definitely not skip fertilizer day or use something in the medium or in the soil or whatever, because they are, let's say, moderate feeders. Not sure if heavy, but definitely not mild feeders. I would not notice a difference right away on a Phalaenopsis. But with these guys, I do absolutely do. They're looking better. All of that yellow on the leaves, it's not getting fixed. It will forever remain like that. It looks like variegation, but it's not. It's deficiency. But I'm happy it got improved. Actually, it got solved. If I ever use them again in a terrarium, I will make sure that the soil contains fertilizer. I will make sure I'll put slow release or use fertilizer regularly because, yeah, we're not gonna play around with these guys. They like their fertilizer. Alright, so that's about it on the updates today. And regarding YouTube's decision, you might have heard they're not thinking, they're actually going to remove the dislike button. Listen, I can understand that, and I talked recently about mental well-being here on YouTube as a creator in my community post. I'm not gonna go into that. I understand the reasons, but hear me out. As a creator, I'm not bothered by dislikes at all. I never look at them. It really doesn't matter. You know who looks at the dislike and like ratio and all of that? New people on the channel. It is a way to rate if a video is worth watching or not. Now, all videos have dislikes. That's just a given. It is what it is. All of them. You will not find a popular video on YouTube without dislikes. But the thing is, the ratio is what's important. If a video has more dislikes than likes and is a tutorial, then maybe that tutorial is not worth watching. However, if it has much more likes than dislikes, it is a rating for new people to invest their time, to give a chance to that creator. And in this way, new people can actually discover creators they like and avoid misleading or scammy videos, which on YouTube you can definitely find it. It's not a curated website. There are curated websites out there. YouTube is not one of them. Everybody can post whatever they think on this website, and the only way to rate it and give an idea about the quality or truth of that video is the rating, honestly. So for new people, it's gonna be really confusing. Should they watch this video? Should they not? They will just go to the comment section directly, and if the video is misleading or a lie, they're gonna start to talk about it in the comment section, which is the worst. The hate comments are what's the worst, not the dislike to like ratio. So my thoughts are, I think it's a bad idea. I think it will affect me as a creator, because I don't know if people will invest their time to watch my 20-minute video, you know, because I'm okay with my rating. I have 98% or more on most of my videos, and I'm perfectly fine with that and within like the normal limit. I also do understand the dislike bombs. I also understand the dislike bots and also hate watching. I understand that. So my solution honestly is either implement the star rating back like it used to be 10 years ago, or let people rate a video after a few minutes of watching, or after a minute, after the first 2 minutes or something like that. Because that, in my opinion, will remove the bots, the farms, the haters, all of that. Nobody will spend 2 minutes, invest 2 minutes just to come and leave a dislike. And the rating will still be there. The people who do actually invest their time in the video will leave a rating, even though maybe we won't have so many likes and dislikes. The number doesn't really matter, the ratio matters. The ratio will still be there. And even if the haters leave a dislike, they at least watch 2 minutes of your video. That's monetizable. So yay, everybody wins, right? So yeah, I don't know how YouTube will look like and how confusing it will become. I hope it won't be confusing, and I hope it will not cost us people who will just be put down by, I don't know, the length of a video, which with tutorials and with seminar type videos, which my videos are about, they're like seminars. They're not TikToks or reels or things of the sort. They're seminars. People will be put off by the length because there's no rating. They will not know if what they will invest 20 minutes in is worth watching, you know? So how do you feel about it? This is how I feel about it. I hope it's not gonna be very bad. I hope YouTube will come out with a different rating system, because ratings are really, really important. You cannot know what the video is like just by looking at the thumbnail. And if you don't like the video, if it's scammy, if it's a lie, you will go directly to the comments section and leave hate comments, which is the opposite of what YouTube is trying to achieve, right? So yeah, I already sent my feedback to YouTube. We'll see. I really hope the rating will not go away, because it's really, really pivotal for YouTube. This is not TikTok. This is not Instagram. On YouTube, we have proper seminar type videos. It's not a 30-second or 1-minute entertainment reel or fake hacks or things of the sort. You can find that on YouTube as well, but that's not what YouTube is all about. It's like TV. You have to have ratings. Even shows on TV have ratings outside of the TV on the internet, you know? So yeah, don't know how that will work out. But anyway, that's the video for today. That's what I wanted to show you and to tell you. Let me know how you feel about the dislike button being removed, and what would you implement instead? Would you implement anything? Would you be put off by having no way of telling if that video is worth watching or not? Let me know. Righty, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I hope you had a good time today. I hope you have a great weekend. Subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos, tutorials, experiments, updates, and other fun orchid subjects. If you wish to support the channel, do consider becoming a member or visit the merch store linked down below in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's always nice to stay in touch there as well. And with that said, I'll see you next time. Bye!